Cool. So we're here. What's going on, man?
What's going on, brother? Good to see you. Good to see you always.
So my name is Kay Huang. I'm the managing director and co-founder of Sustainable You. Stephen Benson over here, our new team member. Tell us a little bit about yourself, Stephen.
Absolutely. So, I mean, first of all, I'm excited to be a part of this team, but the story is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
You know, Kay knows all about it. So I'm a Ward 8 resident. I'm from the D.C. area. I grew up in Tacoma Park, Maryland. And I've always heard of solar and solar panels, but I wasn't a homeowner until like the last 2 years, so I haven't really been able to really look into it meaningfully. But so how it goes is me and my neighbor about 2 houses down from me, we've always kind of shared services and exchanged ideas over time. You know, we looked at each other's fences and different subscriptions for groceries and stuff like that.
Imperfect Foods. Right?
Yeah. Imperfect Foods is a subscription that my wife has us with for a while now. I can't even tell you how long. But during the pandemic, it was extra clutch because, you know, when food was kind of short in certain areas, and particularly in Ward 8, it's, you know, pretty much a food desert. Right. When you look at Ward 8, Ward 7, we don't have access to good foods, really. We have 2 major grocery stores in those 2 wards, which is a whole another issue here that needs to be tackled.
Absolutely.
But my neighbor got up on that subscription as well, so we're used to just kind of exchanging stuff, and which is, you know, really what you think of the true essence of, you know, community is sharing and exchanging ideas. I noticed that he was getting solar panels one day when I came outside for whatever reason, and I looked and I saw this whole construction going down. And I was just like, man, it was just like, you know, first of all, I was like, I didn't hear it was coming. All of a sudden, it's like, bam, solar panels are up.
We're rolling quick.
And I was like, whoa, let me talk to my guy on this, right?
Right.
So I hit him up, and, you know, I think I saw him outside, and I was like, yo, so you getting solar panels? And he was like, yeah, you know, and I didn't pay anything for them.
Right.
And that stunned me. And I was like, you didn't pay anything for them? He's like, yeah, and it covered majority of my power bill. So I was like, hold fast. I need to figure this out. So I don't know if I spoke to you. Did I speak to you first, or did I speak to someone on the team?
I was going to ask you that, because the question is, did you speak to Ed in the morning or the afternoon?
I think what it was is I saw some of the guys that were working on it.
That's right, yeah.
And I kind of may have talked to them, and then I might have mentioned it or something like that.
Right.
But I do remember connecting with you and Matt.
Because you know, and Matt's behind the camera today, and it's funny because we were happening, you know, because I was visiting Ed that day for his installation. It was happening that day.
Checking it out.
I think because now it makes sense. You were talking to him or the crew, and we knocked on your door, right? Because we always like to, you know, introduce ourselves to the street, right, to the neighborhood. That's a big part of what we do. And you know, you opened the door, and you know, we exchanged a few sentences, things. I thought it was really incredible because you were like, hold on a minute. You like stepped fully out the door. You're like, let's have a real conversation. We probably like chopped it up for about like, you know, 15, 20 minutes.
For sure.
It's talking about the bigger mission of, you know, what Sustainable You aspires to be and how it can be possible, right, with just everyday people.
Absolutely.
And it's because it starts with that, right? And usually, you know, something that we've noticed in our, you know, our world and more, you know, tangibly just in our city here, like DC is a busy place.
Oh, it's happening.
You know, a lot of us have multiple things we got going on, you know, for work, we got family, you know, kids, friends, you know, all these things going on. So it's hard to like catch somebody's attention around like, you know, hey, you probably grew up in DC, or you either moved here to kind of be a change maker, right?
Absolutely.
To really help shift things. And people are always so zoned in on their goals or what they got to do. It's hard to take somebody away from that.
No, you're right.
So one of the few things we've noticed that can do that is like, well, there's an actual construction project happening in somebody's house, where the neighbor's like, wait, what's going on? You know, what is going on, right?
Oh, tell me something. Yeah.
And that's why we come out and engage with folks. So, you know, I'm so honored and privileged, man, that we were able to have that conversation with you, because now, I mean, this is my, you know, one of my favorite parts about this first conversation we're having today, and this will probably be the beginning of a larger series for those watching, is that, you know, Stephen's now working with us. You know, and at first he was just like a random person, and I was like, okay, just gonna introduce myself to this neighbor, make sure they're not, you know, kind of concerned about the noise or anything, you know, and then he goes like, wait a minute, this is amazing, like, you know, and then lo and behold, a few months later, he gets solar for himself.
Absolutely.
As well.
I mean, it's the product sells itself.
Yeah.
I mean, I mean, at first I just thought, you had to, own your solar.
Yeah.
Which is a huge incentive.
It's a great option too. Yeah.
One of the best options for folks who are in position financially to make a move on that.
Yeah.
But I didn't know there was another option where I can get this project absolutely for free.
Yeah.
And still have my power back.
Yeah.
And not have to pay Pepco for the next 30 years,
Yeah.
right? And all that money and all that interest combined to that. Save that income, be able to put it towards something meaningful like my daughter's 529 plan, and have that project for free.
Yep.
I didn't know that. So talking to you and I found that out.
Yep.
Looking at, and obviously I love the transparency in the proposal.
Yep.
You guys showing me like this is exactly what you or the company would get.
Yep.
If it was for the SRAC certificates.
Yep.
And it allowed me to make a really sound decision and choose the option that worked best for me and my family. Now I have these solar panels up for a couple of months now. I have my power back already.
Yeah.
Looking at my Pepco bill, and it's like I know I got it in the fall, so I haven't really had the full, seasonal sun. But my last bill was like less than $10. So it's crazy to think about, that instant saving that I'm getting.
Yeah.
And that was for me like what completely sold me on thinking like, hey, now after having this product, hey, I got a little marketing and sales background. I believe in this product.
Mm-hmm.
This is something I want the entire community to know, that you can free yourself from paying Pepco every month, and you can give back to the earth, in a sustainable way, give back to the community, because I got a daughter who's 10. I want this world to exist for her. I'm not just trying to be selfish and just enjoy the world and use up all its natural resources. I want her to have a world, and I want her kids to have a world. So it's to think that we can actually take steps in being sustainable and receive financial incentives, is like it's a no-brainer.
Yeah. It's like a win-win, infinite wins, right?
Infinite wins. And for me, I'm like, hey, sale or no sale, the awareness of communicating this to my community and letting them know that this is resources out there, because we don't know how long this is going to exist where you can have this free option. True. Budgets change, and right now the option still exists, and I just want to let my community know, particularly in Ward 8, Warren 7, which is heavily Black and brown community, in a community that has been under-resourced, letting them know that there's a way to be sustainable and make income. So you can't beat that.
And thank you so much for sharing all those things, Stephen. Like, gosh, like there's so much to unpack there, right? And I want to start it off with actually kind of referencing your daughter, right? A lot of folks that we work with, in the middle stage of your life, you have kids, you're looking to really figure out, how can I be a part of the best world that I can build, for them.
Yeah.
And just about around the Thanksgiving holiday, we posted something about Indigenous peoples, and there's a powerful, profound insight, in my opinion, where we can choose to think about the 7th generation from now. Will the world still be around 1 in the way we know it? Probably not, but rather 2, our children's children, so on and so forth. Will they be around in a world that we want them to be around? That is true. And where the resources are there. And a lot of people in this city, in DC, think about things on a very big level. The world has literally changed here in the city.
Absolutely.
And those world changers live here as well. Like they own homes here, and they have children here. They go to they go to school here. And when I hear stories of folks, like I remember working with some other folks where going solar drastically changed their lives. We're like, oh my gosh, I can pay my bills now. Or, wow, I can finally work on this garden. In fact, you just made it so that I can grow more of my own food, because we live in a food desert too. Like I've heard these stories out in Ward 7, Ward 8, right? And a big part of our approach here is what you mentioned in such a powerful way, pun intended. It's really about reclaiming our sovereignty, our real power, because when we look at the structure of how, in this specific example, solar and energy works, you move into DC, you are automatically set up with Pepco. There's no choice.
Yeah, straight up.
It's a monopoly, right? And because of their infrastructure, their old systems, prices increase year after year. the delivery of your energy, you know, and it's not, you know, the most sustainable, right? There's all these problems that we've come to understand. But people we found over the past, you know, decade or so have kind of been at a standstill. They've been like, well, yep, I get it, but what can I do as a person, right? What can I do? So, you know, with our growing community that's evolving, you know, with amazing folks like you, Stephen, joining and being a customer, and even beyond that, becoming a team member, we've cracked the code in maybe just one way, and that one way is realizing, you know, it's just about talking with your neighbors.
Absolutely.
And having the conversation, because any real change happens first with an insight, a thought in someone's mind that they share with somebody else. And at first it's probably their spouse.
Yeah.
And then next it's probably their coworker or neighbor or friend, and then so on and so forth. And when we talk about taking back our power and building a foundation for what that looks like, tangibly speaking, you know, with solar as an offering, right, we're able to be in a place where, okay, I've been losing money to this utility that I've been renting electricity from, right? Now I get to own my energy, right?
Yep.
Regardless of whether I own the system or not, you are taking back your energy.
Absolutely.
Because you're making a choice to produce clean energy.
Absolutely.
Instead of just renting this dirty energy, right?
Yep.
And you don't have to invest anything for it, which is interesting, right? So we're grateful that the city here with the utility have these policies, we're able to do this. And something that we were just talking about, right, is like a lot of people just don't know. And you were mentioning, can you share a little bit about the trash bin, the garbage bin?
Oh, yeah.
Because I didn't know this.
Yeah. So as a, you know, among the things that, you know, you share with a neighbor, like for instance, I was a new neighbor to that neighborhood, and I'm semi-attached, or I'm attached to a wonderful family that's been there since the 1950s or 60s. And they've shared a lot of information with me, and I've learned a lot, because as a homeowner, you know, new to a neighborhood, there's so much you don't know. And one of the things that I realized in my research was, you know, when you buy a house, you get the trash bins to come with it, right? If you get trash bins, right? Yeah. And some of those trash bins have seen better days, right? And you're thinking, oh, okay, you know, trash bin, but like a nice new trash bin, you know, that can start you off right, you know? So I don't know, it just feels good. Yeah. I can spray my little numbers on it all crazy, you know? So looking into the research, I realized that I think DPW will provide new homeowners brand new trash bins within the first 90 days. But you have to contact them. Yeah. And you know, if you have to contact them and submit your deed, but you have to contact them. It's not like you own a home and then all of a sudden you get an email with like all the things. Right. You know what I'm saying? Right. That's a new service right there, right? You know?
Yeah. That might have been a new idea, brother. Because now we just got, hey, Mayor, we just got to give you a call, Mayor, and we just got to be like, hey, you know, on your list of things to send, add this piece, you know, go solar, right?
Exactly.
Because the city's trying to hit all its goals.
Yeah.
And it's funny, like, I'm observing this conversation. It's really interesting because there's very few, like nowadays, we were just talking about social media too. There's a lot of folks that put out a lot of content. It's very exciting, very short, you know, and frankly, the conversation we're having is kind of interesting because it's both. It's like we're going deep a little bit. We're like taking back your power, right? But it's so tangible. It's like a home improvement project. And then we just segued into something that most people don't feel like they want to talk about, but everybody's got in their minds. My trash bins are kind of messed up. And I didn't know I could replace them. Or like, oh wow, you're saving all this money from. I didn't know that. I wanted to. That's literally what happened with you. And that's literally what's happened with our hundreds and hundreds of folks that are part of our community as customers or ambassadors at Sustainable You. And you said something really interesting. It's like, oh, but you know, you just have to contact them. So that's where like the ball is dropped, right? Where people, you know, us, like everyday people are like, I got things to do, you know, I don't even want to talk to my neighbors. And then you're stuck in your own rut. But, you know, I think I'm not sure if it's an Einstein quote or still not, but like, you know, if you do the same things you're doing, you're going to have the same results in your life. Right? So it's about having the disruptive change, the new variable, the new conversation.
But then
spark.
And when you talk about that, it's also, you know, equity to that too, because like, let's for instance, DC can be the most resource-rich city in the world, right? But if everyone doesn't have access to it, like not everyone has the internet or access to send an email or have the education or the time or the understanding how to search through these old school looking DC websites to find that one little email address that you email to get your trash bins. You know, people don't, you know, you gotta go, it's like a puzzle, right? So it's like, you know, how do we, you know, disseminate that information, right? It starts in the community, right?
Yes.
You have experience, I share with you, right? And so, that's why it's so key that we talk and we participate in, a relationship where we're engaging each other like this.
Right, and it's people have kind of lost touch, from that over, just in modern times. And we're going into a time now where, we just got out of Thanksgiving, we're going into the holidays, and a lot of people are choosing to be closer, right? And around the equity piece, I think it's a huge focus that Sustainable U has as an organization, because all the people we've talked to, leaders in the city, politically, economically, socially, otherwise, we've noticed that there are huge stopgaps around this specific thing. Everybody, that are in certain circles knows about these things, and they do it of their own volition. We have tons of folks that are part of our community that are like, yeah, I get this, sign me up. Like, I totally get it. But what's really interesting is that there are folks, I'm a person of color, so are you. A lot of the most impactful conversations I've had and some of the biggest change I've seen in people's lives are from folks that didn't even know about this, did this, and they call me every few months like, oh my God, I just got another bill, it's really low, or like, I have another referral for you, like they didn't know about this either. And it's just, we've heard stories of like the city has these lofty goals, these ambitions, but they're a little out of touch, literally. Like they're not touching a lot of parts of the city, of the community
no,
that could
completely out of touch.
Benefit the most from these things, whether it's energy or other things we do around helping people grow their own food and food deserts, having these community gardens and things like that. There's so much here that's untapped, because the truth is we do have the resources.
Absolutely.
We do have the manpower. We do have all these things, but the biggest problem is actually the connection.
Absolutely.
Contacting, connecting, communicating, conversing, whatever, all these C's, right? And it all winds up in community, right?
And that's why that's one of the things that struck me about you guys here in Sustainable U, us now, because I'm here.
Yeah, that's right. Welcome to the team,
you guys come to the community. You guys do a project.
Yep.
You don't just, throw a sign up and have a good day. No.
Yep.
You guys walk around the community.
Yep.
And get to know people.
Yep.
And say, hey, are you aware of this, right?
Yep.
Because when you look at some of the other way information is set up, it's a privilege. It's a privilege that you have to be privileged to get access to certain information.
Yeah.
I could talk about tons of things like the inclusionary zoning program that they had. I mean, I had experiences with that before I bought my house. You got to go online, sign up for a Google group, do this, do that. I mean, like that.
There's a lot of things.
Like the people that have access and the understanding to do all that are privileged people.
Yeah.
Are people that come from a background where they received some type of formal education on how to operate all these tools just to get here, right?
Yep.
Just to get in the room. And then you got to take a bus all the way over here, it's like it narrows it down, you know what I'm saying? And when I went my first experience with that, I was the only person of color in the room for that inclusionary zoning thing, because it was, it just, I know we're kind of going.
No, I mean, this is part
there,
of it. Yeah.
But it's one of the things I like about Sustainable U in this company is that you guys recognize the asset of the individual, of the person in the community, and you bring the products directly to people in an awareness piece, right? And I think it's a wonderful way that you guys move as an organization, and that's why I wanted to be a part of it and sharing this information.
Yeah, thank you so much, Stephen. And that's why our purpose, our purpose statement, it's we awaken people to their power of evolving a sustainable consciousness. It doesn't mean that we have all the answers. It's really that, we figured some things out. We woke up to it. We were like, wait a minute, this is good. Or wait a minute, this is probably a challenge we should solve as a community, as a city.
Absolutely.
And then we're like, okay, hey, you want to join us? And then eventually people did, right? And they were like, yes, let's do this. Yes, let's do that. And we're constantly brainstorming, right, with folks, that are customers, that are our partners, our colleagues. We're not just the one person doing one product and, just making money off of things. It's part of running a successful business, but it's more so like decentralizing all that.
Absolutely decentralizing. Yeah.
Giving the power back to the person, the individual, because, I was reading something today, another piece around how tangibly we look at the carbon emissions across our planet. It's true that 100 companies make up like an overwhelming percentage of our emissions, right? So most people are like, what can I do, right? If I bring my reusable coffee cup, what's the point? Starbucks is giving out all these things, and it's like billions of these cups in the ocean. Now, what can I do, right?
Yeah.
Well, the easy answer to that, in our opinion, right, is like, well, there's people that work at Starbucks, right?
That's true.
Somebody made those decisions at some point. And then there's also a whole line of people I see every morning around my coffee shops that go into these. To date, I still only see like maybe 1 out of like, I don't know, 20 bring their own mug. Even I sometimes, I don't always bring, to be honest, right? I'm not the best at it. And this is just a simple example, but my point in this is that when we choose to let go of our power, our responsibility, and blame something else. And people usually, and some people might get triggered by this. I'm going to just call it out. It's like, oh, what do you mean? Like these corporations, right? But think about it, right? It's like, oh, you're giving away your power to the corporation, but the corporation is just a company comprised of people. Of individuals that chose to get together for a common set of goals, financially or otherwise. And so similarly, if we look back at history at all the times of great change, the same thing has happened. One person, then two, then four, then 400,000 woke up to something, shared it, and then acted on it. And I think if we let go of the responsibility, if we choose to say, you know what, it's not on me, I have no power, these companies are so powerful, what can I do? The funny thing is the answer also begins with that feeling of powerlessness. What can I do? Instead, it's what can I do?
Absolutely.
And think about it this way. When we look at something tangible, right? We're not just talking about this, right? The tangible example could be, okay, you know what? I don't care if I don't know the statistics of how my impact of bringing a reusable cup will change the world. But if everybody thinks that in one night, overnight,
oh my God,
that would be groundbreaking news. It literally billions of people, maybe not billion, but whatever, right? A majority of the world's population in one day had a consciousness shift. For some reason, went into their next time they went to get coffee or something, brought a reusable cup. It would be groundbreaking news. People would be like, "What is going on?" So similarly, let's scale that back down a little bit because that's a crazy, example, right? But how long did it take to have that conversation with the people? Maybe like 15 minutes.
Oh
right?
Man,
We spent maybe an hour looking over the details, very thorough thing, and then because of Pepco, we had to wait like a month or so to get everything done. And now you're benefiting. It's not that much of a loss of your time or any investment at all. And now we're in a good place, right, for your home, your family. And this is just the tip of the iceberg, right? There's tons of other things that we're looking to grow in the city, from not just energy and solar, but energy efficiency for homes. We work with a lot of churches and other commercial buildings. We're hoping to expand into schools and places where we can really make a larger impact. And in addition to energy work, grow food around the properties and help people understand that we need to decentralize our food supply, because there are huge deserts. And then beyond that, really help people evolve into their own shift, right? The individual power of like, what are you doing in your day-to-day life? When you wake up, what products do you use? How do you go about your days? How are you getting to work? All these things, right? Like you guys know, I ride an electric bike everywhere, right? What is super fun, right? It's a little bit more sustainable than driving a car or my gas-powered motorcycles, right?
That's funny.
Yeah, and it's like these small little shifts that you can make add up. And so, one of the last questions I'd like to ask you, Stephen, is for you, you're very new to this. You joined us just last weekend at the farmers market, where we're kind of doing this, another piece of community engagement. We love talking to folks at the farmers market. Check us out at the farmers markets with Fresh Farm if you haven't already. But what are you thinking? Like, how are you going to make an impact in your immediate neighborhood and communities, and how can Sustainable You as a platform help you do that?
Absolutely. I think first and foremost, it's just bringing that awareness to my community. Again, a community that already lacks resources. I think it's just connecting with people, showing them, being transparent, letting them know that, hey, this was I had no clue about this either. I might not know all the answers, but we can find the answers together. But let me tell you about this sustainable way of living that also has a financial incentive on you. From particularly solar. And then let's get into gardens and growing your own food. That's it's so many incentives, right? But my first goal is to connect with the people in my community, the people that look like me, the people, direct. And it's not that I'm not trying to talk to the whole world, but I know specifically in DC, the inequalities are right across racial lines. So I want to speak directly to my community, which I live in, that I know can benefit from this, that needs to benefit from this, that would love to have a bill that's reduced or two, because we're under-resourced, right? So, and just let them know about this product. Let them know that they can get this. They can own it, right? They can make income from it, or they can still take their power back and be sustainable and not have to pay Pepco,
right.
$1 million a year, right? So I think starting at square one is real easy.
Yeah.
Meeting people, saying hey, look, this is my experience. I just want to give you this information. Now, whether you decide to do it with Sustainable You or whatever company, now you have the power to make a decision, because information is power.
That's right. Yeah. And who knows? Maybe we'll be doing a block party soon in your neighborhood. We got to loop in that holiday party. Who knows, guys?
Yeah. My neighbor, he throws some good parties. Yeah, man. I had to clean up a ton of firework debris from his side of town, but I'm not going. I'm gonna let that slide. Yeah.
We got to send this to him.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I mean, for those watching, thanks for watching this far. I think this is going to be a cool series. We have an inkling, an idea of the next session, next video we're going to put out. It's going to include some exciting footage of what actually happens potentially for a house when you go solar. And actually check out the community we're talking about, this neighborhood. Reach out to us if you have any questions, thoughts about Sustainable You at large, what we're up to, how we can help you achieve your goals, or just help you think through how you want to be more sustainable in your life. If you have questions specifically about solar, of course, message us as well. We'd love to talk to you guys further. And then, Steven, so good to have you be a part of this team, brother.
Always, brother.
Yeah, man.
Man.
Let's go talk to people.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.